The October 13, 2021, Chandler Unified School District Board meeting made an excellent case for voting no on the budget override election currently on the ballot. For starters, parents gave strong, but respectful speeches outlining why they voted no on the budget override.
My daughter lost opportunity, and if we're going to pay a huge salary to this woman, she needs to do her job. Unless, of course, her real job is to promote critical race theory. Based on these experiences, and the fact that this district is bloated with 29 administrators whose pay goes up each year while teachers do not, I voted no on the district request to keep the budget override.
Good evening, Madam President, board members, and Mr. Narducci. My name is Anne, and I have two kids. One of them is in the loss of students for CUSD. She's now being homeschooled. I'm drawing my line today with a no vote for the upcoming override. As a parent, I've always voted yes. I'm from a family of teachers. I have joined up with other parents of different backgrounds to support a no vote.
But 3 weeks seems like ample time for somebody at CUSD to have responded to me, especially considering how many generously paid administrators are available to do so. Second, to recap where things have currently devolved to, the School Board Association's national organization has called in the feds on we parents, accusing us of being domestic terrorists. It can't be pure coincidence that CUSD hired some of the very same deep equity proponents that the ASBA had recommended to our district just a few months prior.
Second, the board and administration are fully aware that from 2019 to 2021 the district lost almost 2,000 students. The projections in this table show that this loss will be permanent and that by 2030, the district will lose another 1,000 students, and probably even more. Parents pull their children out of CUSD in droves. And as a reward for the stellar performance, let's get another budget and salary raise. Makes sense, right? Third, the meeting showcased how radical the public education establishment has become in recent years. Here is an Arizona teachers union leader making her case for the yes vote.
We are encouraging all staff and community members to support the override. Despite the misinformation, these dollars are being spent on people and programs.
That's not misinformation at all. People who oppose the override do it on the grounds of so much money being spent on huge pay packages for so many administrators, i.e. people, and for programs, such as critical race theory, deep equity, school equity, social and emotional learning, which are aimed at spreading racial hatred and division, diverting funds away from math, science, reading, and writing.
We currently have extremists who are intentionally and systematically killing neighborhood public schools.
What's another word for extremists who are killing? That's right, terrorist. Here you see how the radical public school activists are taking their cue from the federal government, which just set the FBI onto parents who speak at school board meetings, labeling them as terrorists.
In Arizona, the champions of this hatefully disingenuous and disproportionate policy spinning are often in attendance at these school board meetings.
Someone who calls parents hateful and disingenuous does not have the best interest of your children in mind.
They paint public schools as government schools, or worse, indoctrination schools, and ironically use their own indoctrinated lies as proof. Then they claim that subjects and events are being taught that aren't and have never been.
Just a few days ago, the California governor mandated ethnic studies in California public and charter schools, soon to come to a place near you. CUSD has an equity and inclusion director, sitting on a six-figure pay package, and yet, this government education activist claims it's not being taught, and has never been taught.
By underfunding and cutting school funding each year, they force teachers to endure poverty wages, and it follows on that school boards are forced to cut programs and services.
The measure currently on the ballot is a budget override, meaning a license to exceed the budget. Just 2 years ago, in 2019, voters approved a $290 million bond for the Chandler Unified School District. Yet she claims that funding is being cut every year. Teachers in Chandler get paid an average of $63,000 a year, a 3% raise from 2020, during a pandemic with government-mandated lockdowns that led to massive job losses in the private sector. All but 2 of the 30 senior administrators of the district sit on six-figure packages, and got an average raise of around 15% from 2020 to 2021. By comparison, the average salary of a worker in the private sector, the people who ultimately pay all taxes to run the government, is $51,000. Fourth, the board members discuss a bylaw change allow the Arizona School Board Association, ASBA, to create another unelected board chair on the basis of race. Like most Arizona school boards, CUSD is a member of the ASBA and pays its dues, from your taxpayer dollars. ASBA says it is nonpartisan. In truth, it appears very partisan, with a radical agenda rooted in race-based politics. It also seems virulently opposed to school choice, including homeschooling. Lindsay Love, the nice CUSD board member in black, is on the ASBA board as well, based on race.
So I sit on the ASBA board as the Black Alliance president, and there's always representation from me, right?
You could ask, what about Jews, East Asians, Southeast Asians, Italian Americans, German Americans, English Americans, Irish Americans, and the many other, quote-unquote, groups that constitute the American melting pot, but are not considered for special representation? Also, 31% of Arizonians are Hispanics, who Ms. Love calls Latinx. Only 5% are black. So really, for a fair representation, if blacks have 1 chair, then Hispanics should have 6, not only 1. But the real answer is that board seats should be filled based on who gets the most votes, not racial characteristics. Ms. Love says that blacks, Hispanics and American Indians are oppressed minorities.
Indian.
You're marginalizing 3 groups that aren't in this world.
I'm not marginalizing 3 groups that aren't in this world.
You're saying people
These
won't
groups are
support it.
historically marginalized, whether you like it or not.
Not now.
Well,
They
I will
are
say-
and have always been.
Yet affirmative action policies systematically discriminate against other groups. For example, data from a lawsuit against Harvard University show that while a black med school applicant of a certain qualification has a 95% chance of acceptance, almost a shoo-in, a white student with the same qualification only has a 32% chance, while an Asian student only has a 25% chance. Meaning 1 out of 4. Ms. Love herself went to Hamilton High School, then to college, was elected to the school board and, unlike the other 4 board members, also was given a seat on the board of the ASBA.
If it's fine with me if we approve this, because those are traditionally underrepresented folks. I wanted to apologize to Lindsay. I didn't mean to be a pain in the butt. but I do need to get some information and train myself on.
You go, Jason Olive. This is what taking a stance looks like.
Just uncomfortable with this item. It specifically is allocating votes by class. I think it's unnecessary. The School Board Association is a very large board, and individuals would have the chance to be on that board no matter what their class.
Good for Joel Wirt that he takes a stance here, though he's mumbling quietly, with his head down. But at least he is in opposition, though a few minutes later he supports allocating resources based on race.
Lindsay, I do agree with you strongly on one item. Those 3 classifications, we have got to give them more resources. I've supported that all my life, and I strongly agree. They need more resources to help them.
Eventually they table the vote to a later date. What should actually happen is that CUSD stops giving ASBA money, cancels its membership, and runs its business without the influence of partisan lobbyists like the ASBA. The unfortunate reality is that many school boards today are mostly run by radicals on the one hand, and people who bend over at the slightest push, on the other. That includes CUSD. As voters, you currently have the chance to at least make sure they don't get control over even more of your money to finance their radical agendas. Use it. Vote no on the budget override. In 2022 you'll have the chance to replace 2 radicals, Laura Bruner and Lindsay Love. Use the chance. Make sure that they, or people like them, who seem to very deeply hate some children and their parents based on race, gender, and political ideology, don't have control over your children. And don't forget to vote no on the override. Thank you for watching. We have another, much longer video, with complete speeches and discussions of the same CUSD board meeting. Feel free to check it out.